Arturia recently updated Analog Lab and V Collection. V Collection is now on version 8 and Analog Lab is on version 5. So if we actually jump into Analog Lab 5, that's what the V stands for, it's the Roman numeral 5. If we jump in here, you can see all the instruments that were added to V Collection 8 and also to Analog Lab 5. So if you're not familiar with Analog Lab, it actually takes all the presets from the V Collection and puts them into a preset player for Analog Lab. However, keep in mind, if you own any of the individual V Collection products or V Collection as a whole, you'll actually get access to those individual instruments inside of Analog Lab. That way you could go in and deep dive edit any of these synths or keyboards. If you're familiar with Analog Lab 4, the main difference you'll see is the UI here. So it's a lot cleaner. They went with a darker interface. I think the coolest thing about the Analog Lab update and the V Collection update are the macro knobs. If you go down to the control section right here, if for some reason you don't see these, you can click controls here. Same thing with keys, you could hide or show those. But now every plugin has these 4 macro knobs controlling the brightness, the timbre, the timing, and the movement. Just to quickly let you listen to what those do, I'll play this first preset here, jazz bass. That's brightness, here's timbre. That's messing with the resonance for sure. So the brightness is the cutoff, the timbre is the resonance, and the timing should be the amp envelope. So we get more of a plucky sound. And then when you increase it, the sound extends out. And then you have movement, which will control the modulations. So those 4 macros are available on every single synth and keyboard inside of the V Collection. Great thing about Analog Lab, you have additional knobs and sliders that you can control if you own a keyboard like this. This is the Arturia Keylab MK261. I do have a video on both this Keylab and the Keylab Essential. I'll link those down below if you want to figure out how to link this keyboard with either Analog Lab or your V Collection instruments inside of FL Studio. I'll also show you how to link this controller to any random parameter inside of FL Studio as well. But back into Analog Lab 5, you'll see on the home page you get instruments, types, and sound banks along with designers here. But let me show you what was newly added. So here, all of these were here before. If you go on over to the next page here, you'll see this Emulator II. If you've ever seen Ferris Bueller's Day Off, he actually uses this synthesizer to fake his sickness over the phone with his principal. But it's basically just a sampler, but it uses all vintage 80s samples, so it sounds nostalgic right out the box. Next we have the Juno, they're calling it the Jun-6, another super popular 80s synth. For me personally, this was actually my favorite 80s synthesizer. If you go to the next page over, you'll see this Jupiter-8. Now we've had the Jupiter-8 before, but now it's gotten an update. So Arturia decided to update their modeling algorithms, and one of the synths that they updated was the Jupiter-8. I'm pretty sure they're going to go through and update all of their instruments, and I'm really excited for them to do that because this Jupiter-8 definitely outshines the previous Jupiter-8 that they had. I have a video on that coming out next, so definitely subscribe if you haven't already. This OBXA, this was released last year, however it wasn't a part of the V Collection or Analog Lab. Now they include that with the package. This is a pretty iconic synthesizer. I use it mainly for pads, and if I'm ever looking for something organic and lush for my synths, the OBX is usually my go-to. Just like I was saying with the Jupiter-8 update, they've also done that with the Stage-73. That video is coming out here shortly as well, so definitely stay tuned. In that video, I'll be comparing the new Stage-73 to the previous one, and immediately right off the bat, you'll hear a huge difference in the quality of the modeling. And then last but not least, they've added this vocoder. If you're not familiar with vocoders, it literally will resynthesize your voice or any audio that you're putting into it. I'll definitely have a detailed tutorial about that as well. But if you've owned previous Analog Labs, especially version 4, you might be more used to the results section. So if you click here or go to the Explorer, it'll take you to the same page, which will be the results. And you can see that definitely took us to the Explorer here. This is what most people will be used to, where you can just browse through your presets. You can see here that I have over 10,000 presets. I believe originally Analog Lab was boasting over 6,000 presets, and that was definitely a lot for its time. 10,000 is definitely more than plenty for sure. Here at the top, you could filter these out, so you can click here, select your specific instrument, go to types to select your specific type. Each of the types are broken down into different categories as well. You can go into styles, genres, then you have your banks. Patchworks is their latest bank that comes with Analog Lab 5. You can see that I've started making my own presets as well. And then you could go to designers as well. Underneath the Explorer, they actually have a store tab where you could go in and purchase new presets. And for the most part, they are quite affordable, all under 20 bucks. Then inside of your library, they'll have all of your recently played sounds, all of the sounds that you've liked, your saved presets, and your personal banks. Playlists are pretty cool because when you make your own playlist, it's really easy for you to switch into new sounds and new instruments on the fly. I'll actually be using this when I start doing my live performances. Let's go back to the homepage and listen to some of the new instruments. So let's start with the Emulator II. Let's check out Lo-Fi Keys. This should definitely give us a vintage 80s feel. You could hear the detuning of the pitch there on the keys when you hold them. Instant nostalgia. Let's go to the very next preset, Plucked Keys. Alpha piano. Evolving pad. And those were all right in a row, so this is definitely capable of quite a range of sounds because it is a sampler. Let's go ahead and check out the Juno. Like I said, this is one of my favorite synths. Here's the very first preset, 11 strings, a string ensemble, which is very common to hear on a Juno. Here's an 80s pulse width modulation pad. That's what PWM stands for. Let's change the brightness. Make it a plug. I am definitely an 80s baby because I freaking love those sounds. For good measure, let's check out the new Jupiter-8. Again, I'll have a direct comparison video with the old Jupiter and the new one for sure. Let's go to classic synth keys. Let's check out this 90s mellow pad. Some more lo-fi keys. Wow. another atmosphere. It's lush and aggressive at the same time. That's something that's definitely going to cut through the mix. I mean, at the end of the day, depending on what your mix sounds like, but that's the great thing about Jupiter is you could really rely on those synth sounds. Now I have pulled up the OBX. Let's listen to some of the pad sounds. Let's go into types. Oh, perfect, pad. I have this one favorited, so this one must be pretty good. Definitely interesting. Let's go to the very next one, Air Drifter. I'm going to go ahead and favorite that one. I'm definitely going to go through and favorite a bunch of these one day live. If you haven't subscribed to my live channel yet, definitely do that. I haven't been on there in quite a while, but I'm definitely about to go really heavy on the live channel. So definitely subscribe there if you haven't already. The link is in the description. Let's check out the Stage-73. Here's the first preset. Yeah, freaking these things just inspire me so much, especially when they get the tone right. Not that I didn't like the previous Stage-73, but the new Stage-73 just absolutely blows it out of the water. And you'll see what I'm talking about when I do the Stage-73 versus Stage-73 video, because it really is a night and day difference. This is going to keep me from buying Keyscape. This, along with another plugin that I'm going to introduce you guys to later on down the road. I'm not even going to play another preset from that. Just stay tuned for the Stage-73 video because we'll go crazy in terms of the presets and making our own presets in that video as well. Same thing with the vocoder here. Let me load this up so that you just get an idea of what this thing does. So this first preset is 1, 2, 3, 4.
1, 2, 3, 4.
So you heard there, it's literally just digitizing or synthesizing the vocals.
1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4.
And it's all according to what key you decide to play. But that doesn't mean it just does vocals. So here we have lo-fi keys. Here's a bright pad. Here's a sweep for some effects. Choir, which absolutely makes sense with a vocoder. And let's check out one more, dirty lead. If you are interested in purchasing any of these, I'll leave a link in the description below. It is an affiliate link, so I do appreciate your support if you do click on those links. Either way, the V Collection and Analog Lab, specifically Analog Lab, is something that I recommend for someone that really wants to break out of their stock plugins and get more into a variety of sounds, especially classic sounds, because Analog Lab and V Collection is totally based off of the vintage sounds of the past. That being said, you absolutely can make modern sounds with it as well, especially if you have something like Pigments 2, which I'll definitely be diving deep into here in the future. So definitely subscribe if you haven't already, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace out.